Good morning, good morning, good morning. Following up, we're going to do a quick reaction to episode 5 of Ahsoka as we are getting prepared to go into episode 6 tomorrow. Yes, yes, yes. Episode 5, we saw Anakin Skywalker in the flesh. In the flesh. We saw more of Anakin Skywalker than we saw in The Rise of Skywalker, which has his last name. It's a damn shame. But anyway, let's get to this review. Let's get to this review here. Well, more or less reaction of what's going on and what happened. So, if you saw episode 4, right? Falls off the cliff, falls into the water, wakes up, and she is what appears to be in what we call the world between worlds. Now, I'm not saying this is time travel for all you other Star Wars fans that hate the fact of the world between worlds and that is time travel. No, I'm not here saying that. We're not even discussing that in this video. That's what it appears to be. And Anakin shows up basically to complete her lesson. Now, I've watched a lot of other reviews, a lot of other Easter egg videos because, to be honest, my reaction was very monotone. Not that the episode was not good, but it was monotone because it's like stuff like this, especially concerning the character of Anakin Skywalker and him being used in the sequel trilogy was basically non-existent. And now we are seeing more of Anakin Skywalker than we saw in the sequel trilogy. And the sequel trilogy, which is a whole trilogy, as we know, Star Wars is a whole trilogy based on the story of Anakin Skywalker and his children and what happens. And the sequel trilogy seemed to just blow that off. Yeah, we had Luke, we had Leia, we had Han Solo, Chewie, and all them other ones, but they really weren't part of the story. They really weren't part of the storyline as they should have been. So now we're seeing more of that in the Disney Plus streaming shows than we did in the sequel trilogies movies. So it's always like, for me, it's like I just stop and really pay attention and just really take it all in, see where they're going with this. So as I said, now Hayden Christensen looked wonderful once again. I mean, people dragged this man so bad in the prequels. They dragged this man from here to Albuquerque about his acting skills. And he's come back in these Disney Plus shows with a vengeance, showing that he is way better of an actor than we could ever thought or imagine. I never doubted him, but people who were unhappy with the prequels, unfortunately dragged this man and dragged other actors too. And then they also did that for people in the sequel trilogy as well too. That's another video. So he looked great. They did a good job with de-aging him, doing that de-aging technology. So they meet up and Ahsoka responds with, "I will not fight you." And Anakin's like, "Yeah, girl, I didn't heard that one before. Let's go." And so they start fighting, and it's a good lightsaber fight. They're going toe to toe. I mean, that is his apprentice. For people who don't know, Ahsoka Tano was Anakin Skywalker's Padawan, his apprentice. Anakin Skywalker did have a Padawan. So, and he's trying to teach her her lesson, and they get into it. He breaks the bridge that they're fighting on, and she drops down, and we go back in time. Now, this is not time travel. What I personally believe is this was in her mind. This is what Anakin was able to do. And we're going to get into the whole, was he a Force ghost? Was it a figment of her imagination? X, Y, and Z. We'll get into that in a second. And so when he breaks that bridge and she drops down, we go back to the now. She's in the same grown state of mind now, but she's in her younger body, going back in time to one of the first battles she participated in as his Padawan. And she's reminded of the death and destruction because she has lost the will to fight. So we see her and she's, going through all the emotions, and Anakin's trying to show her, listen, you still have to keep fighting. You still have to keep fighting. You have a greater cause. So, and Anakin comes out in his Clone Wars armor that we have seen in the Clone Wars, which was just great. I thought that was great. I thought that the aging technology was great. And that now, whether I agree the way they set it up and how it looked, because it kind of looked foggy and stuff like that, but I think it was meant to look foggy because this is not a full reenactment. This is just to jog her memory to remember how she did used to go out there and fight. So you have that, and then we go into another battle. And now if people look at the costumes and stuff like that, especially for Ahsoka, if you remember the last season of the Clone Wars and what she was wearing at the last battle that she was in, because remember, before at the end of the Clone Wars, they split up. And then there was the Night of 1,000 Tears when they had the attack on Mandalore, when Mandalore was attacked. And then she recalls, you weren't there. You know what I'm saying? And then it was the whole thing of him becoming Darth Vader. And Anakin's just like, oh, girl, you still stuck on that? Which kind of had me laughing because he is just like, here we go again with this whole Darth Vader thing. And so he's like, okay, you want to talk about Darth Vader? Here we go. And so, and also too, it was like it was a reenactment of the battle that they had in the Clone Wars as well. So not a reenactment, but more or less for them to finish their fight. But the whole thing is that Anakin was trying to show her, hey, we have to draw on both to have a balance. It's never going to be all light and all darkness. It's going to be, they have to work together. They definitely have to work together. And so, but the battles that they had, the choreography for the lightsaber fighting was just wonderful. I enjoyed it. I thought all in all, that was a really good episode. Were there things I didn't like? I can't say I didn't like them because I think that was just part of their plan and in their production. Especially when we're talking about that first battle that Ahsoka dropped into when she was her younger self, but still in her mind an adult, I think those scenes were meant to be like that. So a lot of people complained about that, saying X, Y, and Z. It could be budget reasons, whatever the reasons are, whatever the case are. That's what it was. Now, let's get to this fact of was Anakin Skywalker in this situation a Force ghost? In her mind? I think it was a little bit of both. How did she get pulled in? It could have been Anakin that pulled her in. I don't know. I think that's something we'll never know. I think we're getting back to keeping that mystery of Star Wars and not knowing anything. I think Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are taking it that way, where some stuff just wasn't told. They left it to us fans to make our theories. Because when Star Wars fans have theories, have ideals, have what they think what it is, the more content they have to make. the more ideals they even get on where to take this. So, therefore, I think it was a little bit of both. It was a little bit of both. And then also, too, one of the questions that came out, too, is Anakin now a Mortis god? Now, you have to go watch the Clone Wars and watch the episodes on Mortis to understand what I'm talking about as far as Mortis and Mortis god. But there was a son, daughter, and father in this episode, which are like basically in charge of the Force, I guess you can say, and stuff like that. And there's a lot of stuff that happens in that episode, or those episodes, that you could say that possibly has Anakin Skywalker taken over as the father. So that's why he could be in that plane. Has Anakin Skywalker taken that role, and that's why we don't see him that much as a Force Ghost, because he is the supreme being for Mortis. That is a good theory, but I need some proof. I need some receipts on that because I'm not buying it. And I think that's left open for interpretation because it should be. It should be. So, it's like I said, I think it's a little bit of both. And so, and then something else we got to discuss too. They did shout out Kanan Jarrus. Now, as we know, this is a takeoff from Rebels. So they did shout out Kanan Jarrus because it was his son, Jason, that heard them fighting over all the ways, because Kanan Jarrus' son is Force sensitive. And apparently extremely Force sensitive. He can hear all that throughout the waves. That's how they even find out that she is down there and they could possibly save her. So they did. I love the fact that was one of the things I loved the most about that, and bringing back these rebel characters. I know we have Jason, Kanan Jarrus' son, but to have them mention his name and actually have a picture of him on Hera's dashboard, I thought that was great. So I was very happy about that. I'm glad they did not forget about him in this show, because it would be crazy for them to have this show, have his son out there, and not mention him. And plus, he was bound to come back up again, because eventually Ezra is going to make an appearance. Don't know how much of an appearance it's actually going to be, because there's only 3 episodes left. So we shall see about that. So I did think that was good too. And then also too, the main thing too, now it's everybody's calling her AHSOKA the White, because now she's made this transformation. She's gotten her mind somewhat back together, and she is now AHSOKA the White, which is the AHSOKA the White we saw in that last episode at the end in Rebels, when they go search for Ezra. So we're really going to see what this whole AHSOKA the White is going. It shall be interesting. And last but not leastly, we see the space wells. Now, I have a theory about the space wells, and this is what my theory is. Now, for anybody who watches The Mandalorian, right? That first episode of The Mandalorian, when Grogu is sitting in his little part of Mando's ship, and he sees the space purgle, right? I'm wondering, in fact, I'm betting that at that moment when Grogu is seeing them space wells, those purgle, that is Ahsoka also as well. I do believe that. There's a reason for everything Dave Filoni does. So I believe in The Mandalorian, if you're putting the pieces together, I believe that the reason why Grogu saw the space wells is because, number one, he has the ability to speak to animals through the force. That's number one. So he would be able to see the space pearl. But why would he care about it? Why would he have an interest if they're just passing over and he can see them? Because AHSOKA is in the main big one, as we saw at the end of the episode, going into hyperspace inside. So I do believe that. And so that's where we end that episode. They're on their way with the space wells, and the next 3 episodes, because I actually have not been watching any spoilers, I can actually say that I'm like AHSOKA at the end of the episode. I don't know what's going to happen. But I know in the next 3 episodes, we should be seeing Thrawn, and we should be seeing Ezra Bridger. But my theory is it's going to be at the bitter end. It's like I expect this next coming episode to give us a little tease about the last 2 episodes. So this episode that's coming up tomorrow is going to be big because it's going to set up these last 2 episodes very well, because they've done such a good job on the show. That's what I'm expecting. So I expect there'll be some excitement, but not the excitement everybody is expecting tomorrow night, because it's a build-up. It's a build-up. It's a build-up. And if everybody who is watching The Mandalorian and AHSOKA and stuff like that, you may have heard that there's going to be a whole Mandoverse where all these shows are going to connect. Well, right now, the only 2 shows they really have to connect are The Mandalorian and AHSOKA. There's supposed to be some other shows that are supposed to connect too, but at this point, it's just looking like it's probably just going to be the AHSOKA show and Mandalorian and some other characters they can possibly bring back. So because they need a larger team besides the group of Mandalorians they have, Din Djarin, Grogu, and AHSOKA, and her little crew. They need a little bit more people. So to fight a threat like Thrawn. So yeah, so this episode is going to be interesting. I think it's going to be good, but I don't think it's going to be exactly what people expect, because they're going to put it all in the last 2 episodes. So we shall see. We shall see. We shall see. So that is it. That was my reaction to it. I thought it was really good. I thought that the agent technology was really good. I thought the interactions with Anakin and AHSOKA were really good. I thought those flashback scenes were great, because this is something that people have been wanting. And a lot of people complained that it was fan service, but yeah, you could call it fan service, but I mean, it actually was good. So it's one of those things of, that's a give or take. Take it how you want it, So, but just like I said, this episode should really set us up real swell for these next 2 episodes. And also, too, this is what I expect Disney to do as well, too. After this episode, I expect them to, the following week, not release an episode. That's what I expect. I expect that they're going to do one of them things of, gotcha, we're going to wait until next week or 2 weeks later before we premiere these last 2 episodes. Wouldn't be surprised. So if it happens, I want to hear about it, because if you are listening to this on the replay, I'm telling you now, don't be surprised if next week we don't get an episode, because there'll only be 2 episodes left after that. They've been known to do that before. So what they'll do sometimes when it's a big build-up coming up, they want to keep the suspense and keep people subscribing, because they know if they push out the episodes week after week after week, that people will let their membership lapse, and I am one of them. Because once the show's over, I am probably not going to really want to revisit or watch again until a new season is going to be released. Just saying. So to keep subscribers subscribing. I expect them next week to not show an episode and then go ahead the following week or the week after that and then release the last two. But we shall see. But got to wrap this one up. One for the books once again. Just like I said, I finally got to it. It took me some time because I had to think about it with episode 5. It was a really good episode, but there's a lot of sensitive issues in there pertaining to Star Wars, World Between Worlds, Hayden Christensen being Anakin Skywalker, which he, to me, was always a wonderful sky guy, as AHSOKA calls him. He was always a wonderful sky guy. So we're just going to see. But anyway, getting off here. Got stuff to do. I will catch you guys tomorrow night. I'll be going live for the reaction. Most likely right after the show airs. Well, actually, it'll be way later on in the night. Because of scheduling with what I have to do, I won't be able to watch the episode until then. So we shall see. But this is one for the books. One to mark down in history, and we'll see you tomorrow night when that next episode drops, and we got something to talk about again. Until then, stay blessed.